Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of Funhaus. It's brought to you by Vincero Collective today. You can save 15% on your own Vincero watch. Learn more about that later in the show. But for now, we're going to talk about Blade Runner 2049, which we all saw about 12 hours ago.
It's true.
Joined by Bruce,
Hello.
James, and Elise.
Hi. Hello.
How you guys doing?
Good.
I guess real quick, how are you guys doing? Did you enjoy the film? Did you have a good time?
I'm pretty confident that I'm a replicant.
What? How do you
That's
know?
fair.
Because I had
Hold
this
on.
memory once.
Now look up.
All right.
There it is.
There you go.
You're an Nexus 8, though. Those are the good models.
That's the good one.
Yeah,
I
that's
obey.
those are the good models.
Yeah.
A warning, as
Except when they
always, heavy spoilers.
Yes.
Actually, I was thinking we could actually probably review this movie without getting too spoilery, but if you feel like you need to say something, just go ahead. So you've been warned, audience.
Be careful.
Yeah.
There might be spoilers in here.
I would recommend you go see this movie and the first one and all the little short films in between that they've been releasing online before watching or listening to this review. So you've been warned. Let's take it away.
Okay.
My first takeaway, speaking of takeaways, from this movie, it reminded me of Breath of the Wild.
Oh.
Because I felt like I said with Breath of the Wild, it felt like it was the game, it was the Zelda game you thought you were playing when you were playing Ocarina of Time.
Okay.
This is the Blade Runner you thought you were watching when you were watching the original Blade Runner.
How dare you?
I'm not trying to shit on the other Blade Runner, but Blade Runner's plot is weak.
Well, actually, Ocarina of Time is a great video game.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody knows it's a great video game, but Breath of the Wild, I think, is better.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what you're getting at.
That's what I'm getting at. Well, I'm just getting at there's certain legacies that the initial Blade Runner film set up. And it was the world.
Yeah.
It was the world. It was the audio and visual aesthetic of the film type. And it was the tone. But the plot of Blade Runner isn't...
It's fairly straightforward. It's
kind of
there are these four replicants.
straightforward.
He's hunting them
Simple.
down.
It's noir.
Yeah,
I think
it's
that.
noir, yeah.
I think
So
that.
is this, though.
Well, but that's even the thing. I think that if you took someone who hasn't seen Blade Runner but has heard about Blade Runner and then sat them down and had them watch it today, they'd be like,
This is boring.
well, not necessarily boring, but he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
What did Deckard do? He didn't really do much.
He was just the man in the middle of a thing happening.
This-
Similar to this.
Well, no, this one feels more like a hard-boiled detective. He's following leads. He's tracking down suspects, and he's actually going from different, like, location to location to try and figure out the solution to the mystery. And to me, that felt more like what you thought Blade Runner was than what Blade Runner actually is.
I think I know what you're saying.
Okay, I guess, to
Yeah.
recap, I guess in Blade Runner 1, the original Blade Runner, it's
That's not in the
Deckard
movie.
sort of called in after, because in the very beginning, it's someone interviewing a replicant. He dies, and they go, hey, we need you to come back in. Your buddy's dead. And he goes, okay, cool. Oh, yeah, this is like a short film. That's
Oh,
all.
that's what this is.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
say.
There are three short, like I said, there are three short films that they have released between the release of the movie, and they're
Yeah.
all really good.
Well,
So-
I know that they said they're like, it has nothing to do with it. And I was like, I don't care. Not watching any of that shit.
Yeah.
Can I just swallow what's on screen here? MVP Dave Bautista's tiny glasses.
I know. I love those
glasses,
glasses.
I love
yeah.
those
He
little
keeps
glasses.
doing this, too.
His head's so big.
Get some glasses
Those
that are
glasses are so
smaller.
tiny. But I bet those glasses are like huge on me. You know? Anyway.
Deckard's character in the first one, pretty much, following leads. And they do actually kind of a cool Terminator 2 thing, I feel like, in the Blade Runner 2049. We'll talk about that later, though, that they sort of reference the old movie. So I think that there is some importance there. But, yeah, he's sort of brought in, meets this replicant, Rachel, finds out about her. And then there's more or less, it's just like a few replicants that are, they call them skin jobs. They are basically synthetic humans that are they want to live. All they want is essentially their freedom.
Well,
And they're trying to rebel against their master.
Replicants are generally used for off-world slavery
Yes.
and tasks that human beings don't want to risk themselves with.
Yep.
Or
But
do.
they're basically built to be better than human beings, so they're stronger, they're smarter.
They're androids.
So the trade-off of that is that you just put a lifespan cap on them. They basically have a battery
They expire, yeah.
that just runs out after 4 years.
Yeah, it's never really gone into too much detail. Like from what it's very much like Battlestar, from my understanding. It's like they're not actual. There's no electrodes going on. They're genetically modified in a way that they don't feel as much pain.
They're stronger.
And they're stronger,
Yeah.
faster. But then they die.
It's all organic.
They're built in a
tissue.
lab.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a short lifespan. At least the original Nexus 6 models. It's unclear what the lifespan is of the newer models, which I guess getting into Blade Runner 2049. Did anyone know that Ryan Gosling was a replicant?
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
So the
See,
only reason
I thought so.
I went in not trying not to
I thought
think
that would
about
be
it.
a twist.
I'm the same
but I
way
appreciated the fact that
as
it's
you,
in the
Adam.
opening of the movie.
I'm not going to try to like look up predictions. I'm not going to be too invested in the plot until I'm actually there seeing it. And I didn't think he would be a replicant.
The only reason I thought, because I didn't read anything either, except for the short story. So I read the short story, and that's what a Blade Runner was. Is that they basically had made a replicant to hunt other replicants, and that's what the short story is about.
I knew
Which
that
short
from the
story? Do androids dream of electric
Yes.
sheep?
I knew that from the short story because
Yeah.
I haven't never read it, but I know that Harrison Ford's always been kind of down on the whole Deckard as a
Right.
replicant theory.
Right.
But then people always point to the short,
short story.
saying,
The short story lays it out, says that's what he is.
Yeah.
But regardless, so when Ryan Gosling turns out to be a replicant, for me, I was like, oh yeah, I already knew that.
Well,
Like,
I'm unclear about the story. Do androids dream of electric sheep? I'm not sure if that was it. I'll have to.
I thought it
revisit
was.
that. I thought it was left to be kind of ambiguous because, like, the ending of the book, I think he just goes to sleep. He's like, "I'm done. I'm gonna go," and he dreams of a sheep or something because there's no actual living animals on the planet anymore. There's also he leaves like to go to San Francisco to find a frog or something. It's weird.
well, there's also a weird religion in that whole thing too, which is it's actually really interesting.
But the point of the film in the first one, I thought. It was always kind of cool when you were young. Be like, "Oh, did you know he was a replicant?" And then you're like, "Oh, wow, big twist." But then when you think about it, it's kind of cooler that he's not because Deckard as a human is more robotic than the robots that he's chasing. The robots are seeking life, and the character Batty is talking about all these wonderful things and how he has the urge to live, whereas Deckard's really sad and alone, and he has a robotic routine that's like more pathetic. And so it's like the fact that he was human was a better twist, I thought, than him being a replicant.
I'm
Not a
fine
twist,
with
sorry,
whatever
plot
this
point.
world universe is. I again in the Ridley Scott years ago said he was a replicant. Like he confirmed that Deckard, Harrison Ford, was a replicant.
Ridley Scott's a crazy old
So,
man.
I'm
He
just
is.
saying that was the way he made the movie. So, but yeah, then they were apparently Harrison Ford and him are arguing about it.
As it
which is
pertains,
hilarious.
As it pertains to 2049, though, I like that they get that shit out of the way.
Me too.
Right
Yeah.
at the beginning,
Yeah.
because I thought that was going to be the whole
Oh, me too.
thing.
Yeah.
Like that was going to be the whole thing, but it wasn't the whole thing.
Yeah.
So like that question for Ryan Gosling at least is answered immediately.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it.
I pretty much appreciated that this movie didn't try to push any giant revelation, because there wasn't that, and then the Ryan Gosling thing was pretty early on. I know the whether or not he was the child was sort of advanced, but then it never felt like a monumental.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
there was
know,
never a
the movie,
twist.
the movie didn't
Yeah.
force it on you.
And when it happened, you're
appreciated
like,
that. and like Denis Villeneuve is pretty. He's not. I would say that he's not really like a super climactic guy where he's
Yeah.
pushing those
Yeah, you're right.
gasping, twisting moments in his films.
He does. He likes to build up to moments, like in films like Sicario and Prisoners.
I think he
He
likes
likes
to-
to do kind of a slow burn.
He likes to build to emotion, I think, more than he likes to build
I agree.
to a twist or a gotcha or anything
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
he's really great at building to that emotion, especially in movies like Incendies and like Polytechnique, which is the all his like French Canadian
Yeah.
Oh,
films.
okay,
that-
okay, all right.
And like the only movie of his that like I wasn't. What's the Jake Gyllenhaal one?
Prisoners.
Prisoners. Yeah.
Not Prisoners. They filmed it in Toronto.
Yeah. The double agent doubles. He does a twin.
Spider,
Oh,
I never saw
Enemy.
it.
Enemy.
I really liked
I
Enemy.
never saw it.
Yeah, that was.
I didn't care for the spider. I liked everything else.
it's a
God,
metaphor.
he's like knocking them out of the park consistently.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he is.
no, he's-
a
he's-
fantastic filmmaker.
Excellent director. The cinematography by Roger Deakins
It's just unbelievable.
is
Yeah.
maybe one of the best looking films
Yeah.
ever made.
I would agree.
It's so
Ever
interesting
made.
because when I think of like the original Blade Runner, I think of blue. I think of just blue tint
Neon.
everywhere. Everyone's backlit with just blue lighting on them. This had like it was like opposite end. It's like everything's gonna be gold. That Vegas scene
Yeah.
where it's just all the open windows and the wasteland
desert,
and it's
yeah.
all just blinding gold is like
Yeah.
such a great contrast.
Yeah.
It was cool
so
because
cool.
I felt like what this movie did really well was world building. They had a very limited scope in the original film, and obviously they could expand in this one. And I like that. It felt like what a lot of movies do, where they show like say what's that one movie? Clockwork Orange. It felt like what the future would be like if the 70s stopped
Yeah.
and moved
Yeah.
forward. And I think they were very self-aware of like what they were doing in this film. They said we can't go too futuristic, but we can have some advancements, because obviously a lot would happen in over 45th years, but it didn't feel like anything huge,
Yeah.
which I really like. Like, there's obviously more holograms and things like that, but it was never anything that felt too
There were some
much.
old displays that you'd see on his car that were like really old. That I was
Yeah,
like, oh,
and
those
they
are
have
fun.
like huge bezels.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like
I thought it was
they
cool.
sound like there's a tube back there powering them, so they all turn on
Yeah.
like CRTs and like.
That said, to your point about the cinematography and the visual effects together make this one of the most one of the most interesting films to watch ever. It was like Prometheus for me, although Prometheus wasn't a very good film. This is a good movie. So, and it's 2 hours and 45 minutes, which is way too long for
Didn't
me.
feel
way
that
too long.
long.
It felt like that. Like every hour I hit another hour, I was just like, this is too long.
Oh, I didn't
but
feel that.
I still liked the movie a lot, and the visual effects were the things that sort of kept getting me back into it. Because there are a lot of scenes that, just like Villeneuve likes to do, which is like very, very slow, drawn out, lots of emotion, which I love. But this is probably the longest film he's made.
Yeah, probably,
Because
right?
most other films are pretty short, which I appreciate.
Well, the interesting thing about the length of this is that I was trying to figure out, how do you make this movie so long? It's paced the same way the original Blade Runner is paced,
Yeah.
where it's
Yes, yes, it is.
long dialogue sequence, and then it cuts to a wide and it goes boom, and it just like shows like a
Yeah.
cityscape, or just like zooms in on like a window or whatever, boom,
At least-
and it does that. But there's a big plot,
Yeah.
so it's still
Yeah.
trying to get. Blade Runner has the plot of, I think, like a 30-minute film,
That's exactly
right?
right, yeah.
But then it's stretched out into 2 hours because of the way it's edited. This has the plot of a feature film, and it's 2 hours and 45 minutes because of the way it's edited.
At least compared to the first one, though, it doesn't really have the scope of those just kind of wide city shots where you're always seeing a vehicle docking or like the first one is, at least the final cut's a little bit masturbatory in that sense, where there's so many of those,
Oh, yeah.
and they're very, very drawn out. They're beautiful to look at.
They are.
I
They're
think
very-
they just didn't have a lot to cut to, because they
No.
were filming at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
in LA, and they're like, just reuse the shot.
Absolutely.
This stuff's expensive, and we're on a
recycled
limited
shots,
budget.
But this one, there were less of those.
Yeah.
But it still felt like it was. It also, I was curious whether they were going to push in advance, because there's a very like Japanese neo Tokyo like
well, it's like all cultures.
vibe to
Yeah.
the first one.
More Asian.
To the first one. Well,
think,
I was
than
going to say
anything.
this one feels more like a mix of more cultures, because there's like more like Korean in it. Like there this one just felt like it was like, okay, now we're even more like just more of a mixture here. And
I think that was always the intent. Watching there's a 4-hour documentary called Dangerous Days, just like the whole making of the original Blade Runner, and Edward James almost talks about it more, about how it's people there would speak city speak,
Yeah.
which is, that's why he like made up a language, which is like a sort of like combination of a bunch of different languages and stuff.
they
And so
speak it in this, right?
he
Yeah.
spoke a little bit of it, and I think the idea was, I don't think it was fully fleshed out in the first one, and that jumping off of what you're saying though, what I really like about this movie is I believe it could exist on its own. I don't think it needs the first Blade
I
Runner.
agree.
No.
Yeah.
It feels like a really cool story and a really cool world that pays respect to the original, but it's very much just its own story.
Yeah.
And I like that it took, there are bigger plots taking shape that they sort of show at the end. Like there's a rebellion. He's like, okay,
Yeah,
that's a whole other story that we're not going to get to. It's just showing that there's a much bigger world here than what's just going on in this small section.
Which is kind of what the first Blade Runner did.
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
know? And
Yeah.
it's like you get this view, but now this is a much larger lens, but it's still not a world. You know, like
Right,
you still are looking at Los Angeles and the outskirts of Los Angeles, kind of.
It's like kind of like Judge Dredd in that way, where they just give you a small piece and you're supposed to, from that, extrapolate what the rest of the world is like, and they keep talking about off-world colonies.
Which
we
is
never
cool.
see them.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
cool.
And I think that it's always less is more
Yeah.
in this sort of situation. I think they actually did a really good job of going to parts outside of Los Angeles and showing that how shitty those were.
Oh, yeah.
And just you start to get an idea of like, this is not a future you want to live in, and it feels closer to what could
yeah,
be.
these like in terms of like dystopias, this to me always feels like a pretty like close representation of if you know you have that kind of corrosion and degradation in the world, and people are either packed on top of one another or there's just uninhabitable wasteland. Like there's and
Texas.
yeah, and they never have to explicitly say that. but they do such a good job of like visually showing that, like all those other factors I really like. Anytime you can kind of infer geopolitical stuff or that kind of thing, I always really like, and the first Blade Runner and this Blade Runner both did that like really well.
I was impressed with the fact that over the last 30 years from the previous Blade Runner to this one, they managed to get off fossil fuels as much. Because in the first Blade Runner, it's all like smokestacks and like flame things, and then this one, everything is like electric and digital.
All very clean.
And I'm like, nice job, guys.
Harrison Ford said, "I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back unless you get off those fossil fuels."
those fossil
Is that what he said?
Could you imagine if Ryan Gosling's character Kay had seen the movie Her, and then he was like, "Oh no, everybody got a digital girlfriend, not just me."
The movie was long. I didn't necessarily feel like that was a bad thing for me, because there were so many sci-fi things in this.
Yeah.
This is maybe the ultimate sci-fi movie. It's like this and Fifth Element are like the hardest of hardcore sci-fi. Because it has so many of those classic sci-fi questions, the things that make cyber
what makes you a human,
right?
and,
like what makes you a human? What is love? You know, does an AI actually think? Like all kinds of stuff like that. It's just like so good in terms of like if you are into that. What is this? Snow Crash or whatever.
Yeah.
There's like
Neil Stephenson.
There's a Ready Player One trailer in front of our viewing of this.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'll enjoy it, but I'm like, no. This is sci-fi.
This is hard sci. That's
This
what
is hard.
That's what Philip K. Dick
sci-fi,
is.
yeah.
Philip K. Dick has always been hard sci-fi, where it's asking like huge existential questions in the midst of this sort of dystopian android robot, electric future.
Well, I could see people in the theater sort of zoning out, but you're kind of supposed to do that.
Yeah, no,
but
I think you're right.
It's one of those movies where I think the trailer probably sold it as like there's gonna be a lot of action, but if you look at the runtime, there's not gonna be a lot of action.
Yeah.
Like obviously, so what you have to sort of do, like with the original Blade Runner, it's easier just to sit there and go, just take me in, and the movie's really good at that. You believe you're in this world, and it was really cool because I felt like there's a lot of times where I didn't feel like I was actually watching a film. I felt like I was just peeking into a day in the life of this thing trying to find itself, which is a skin job.
For the audience, it's totally worth it to see it in the theater. By the way,
absolutely.
See it in the theater.
Oh my gosh,
it's like
sound.
Again, like with Prometheus. If you'd seen that movie at all, you should have seen it in the theater because watching it at home sucks because the movie's not very good. This is a movie that you should see in theaters. Absolutely.
Agreed. Well, the other things I was saying earlier, like it has sort of a Terminator 2 aspect to it, not from a plot or anything like that, but in the way that I always feel like Terminator 2 makes Terminator 1 better.
Yeah.
And they kind of do that with
Absolutely.
this. They do this with this film in that sort of sense where technology has advanced. So the filmmakers, I believe, thought so many people talked about is Deckard a replicant, yada yada yada, back and forth, and they just said, what if we just show you life from the perspective of a replicant? And like Ryan Gosling's character is cool.
Yes,
he's fleshed out. He's sad. He's tragic. There's a lot. I like that Harrison Ford doesn't show up for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I thought I want to see
more than that.
I think it was. I think it's like an hour and 40 minutes.
Jeez.
They said, which is great. Harrison Ford isn't. He's not really in the movie.
No, you don't need it. Yeah.
Jared Leto's not in the movie very much either.
Very briefly. Yeah.
But I really
is
like
fine.
that they didn't make him over the top, cheesy.
Yeah, me too.
It's
goofy
Kay's
villain.
story though. That's what I really
Yeah.
enjoyed about this movie. It's him as a detective. He has no choice to be a detective. He was born into this job, or was he? That's sort of the question that keeps coming up and keeps you interested through the film.
To your point, Adam, about it makes the first one better, makes you think about the first one more. Now it's like you're going back and watching the first one from the perspective of, well, it was Rachel this creation that was created just to kind of test Deckard and see like his reactions.
Was it Tyrell's like vision to
Yeah.
push the replicants forward by having them allow them to give birth?
And it's all super interesting, like to go back now and think of the first one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you guys have a favorite scene or moment that you really liked?
That's a really good question.
Everything,
There's so much good stuff.
My favorite scene is when he had a three-way.
Damn it! That's what I was going to say. Shit. The visual effects on that scene in particular were. They blew my mind.
Well, that's our generation's ghost.
It's our generation's ghost. Well, I was thinking
That blew my mind.
I was thinking really sad dudes who don't get out that much, and what would happen if they had a hologram, like chick who
I brought you this girl to fly.
on top of a real chick.
a hologram
anime body
chick who would basically agree with them. Like thinks that they're the best person in the
That's the
world,
worst thing
and
in the
just
world I can
agrees
think
with
of
them
is
on
that
every
saying.
single thing that
I
they
see,
say,
yeah.
and then also has other situations where then another chick comes in, and then your hologram girlfriend gets on top of your other girlfriend, and then you have sex with both of them at the same time.
And they're both supermodels.
To explain to the audience, just so you know, Ryan Gosling has a hologram girlfriend basically the whole movie, but then
His Siri.
he also brings in a real woman who's like a prostitute, and then they
even better. I think his hologram girlfriend
She brings
brings
him
in the prostitute.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Hologram
She's like,
girlfriend.
I called this person. I thought you'd like it.
like, I
Alexa,
could tell
order me
you
a
liked her.
prostitute.
Yeah.
Yeah, the robot orders a real girl, and then the real girl comes in, and then basically they merge.
Yeah.
The hologram syncs with the real human, and then he has sex with
Which
her.
is really impressive CGI.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
The
it's
visual
great.
effects
Yeah.
are
Did
amazing.
Ryan Gosling have to stand there twice
That's what I
while
thought.
naked
That's
chicks
exactly
walked
what I
around him?
thought.
Now-
And then go
Can-
home to Eva Mendes. Poor guy.
Can
Seriously.
you imagine now in the real version of that scene where the robot girlfriend is like one of those robots that like falls off stage and has the big plastic lips, and then the
Awesome-o.
prostitute they bring in is just covered in sores, and like that's the reality we're living in.
Well, we talked a lot of positives. I do have a couple criticisms
I
for
didn't
the
say
film.
my favorite scene,
I do
Adam.
too.
I was the
I'll get there
only-
in a sec.
Just James said his.
Well, I'll just say I don't think I need to go see it again.
Okay,
this
well,
is
I'll
sort
go
of
fuck
the.
myself.
Just shout over him.
I think he's trying to do an ad read. I can't.
Oh, I'm
tell.
about to do an ad read.
There we go,
I'll
yeah.
just
Then
I'll
you
say
can go
real
ahead.
quick. I don't have there's no favorite scene that stands out because I actually really enjoyed the film like scene to scene. I thought
The Elvis one for me.
Oh, the Elvis scene was
Okay.
so fucking good.
Okay.
That was so good.
That's cool.
Man, that was fucking
Back
cool.
to you.
Adam
Oh, if-
asked a question
if
he
you-
didn't have an answer
if you wanted
to.
to-
He needed 1 hour.
Wait, what? I didn't ask a question. That was Elise's question.
Favorite scene?
That's,
Yeah,
that's
Elise-
true. That
Elise
was
brought
Elise's
that up.
question.
It's okay. I don't need to be.
That's fine.
At least you could. I want to hear the Elvis scene afterwards because you got to describe it to the
That's
audience.
fine.
It's amazing.
No,
it's
it's
an
okay.
amazing scene.
We'll get right back to that real quick. This episode is brought to you by Vincero Collective. These are watches. Hey, it's a luxury watch. And guess what? Or sorry, well, I was just saying most luxury watches are very expensive. You don't need to pay a bunch of money. They can cost up to $500. We don't want that. No. Most brands mark up their watches 6 to 12 times before it gets to you. Guess who's eating that cost? You. Everyone.
I was like, who?
Well, you guys too. You're all, yeah, they're all
We
bad. So Venturo's years of manufacturing experience allows them to create innovative and luxurious timepieces and deliver them for a ridiculously fair price. So I've been wearing mine. I wear it out. I typically don't wear mine day to day, but I think it's a nice accent piece to when I go out to like weddings or nice dinners, fancy engagements.
Blade Runner?
Joel's house.
Blade Runner.
Yeah, actually, yeah. When I'm late from my
Yeah.
films. So yeah, a watch like this can easily cost you more than $500. So don't pay that. Venturo has more than 3,000 5-star reviews, free shipping, and a 24-month warranty. Seriously, please check them out. With full grain Italian leather bands and genuine Italian marble, you won't believe they start at just over $100. That's quite a steal. So, like I said, whether you're late for Blade Runner or late for a wedding or
Late for Joel's house.
late for
Well, you won't be because you'll know the time.
You'll go, wait a minute, it's 4:20. Better get to Joel's. I bet he's playing a mobile game. Anyway, Venturo has the versatility you need. So yeah, that's really it. Want to let you guys know that you can get 15% off your very own Venturo watch if you go to venturocollective.com/filmhouse. That's VINCERO collective.com/filmhouse, FILMHAUS. You should know that by now. Build your legacy today at venturocollective.com. Thank you, Venturo, for
I want to
sponsoring.
hear you describe that Elvis scene because that Elvis scene's amazing. It's an amazing scene.
It's a great scene because it's a fantastic mixture of new and old. Also, the lighting in that Vegas scene, those Vegas scenes are amazing.
unbelievable.
The tension in that scene. Well, we know he's not going to hurt him. Okay, we know that's going to happen.
He punched him a lot in the face.
But
Yeah,
just-
he did.
just
For real, too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and he was taking it. But just the way that like, it was, they had the
Lighting?
holograms were
Oh.
like cutting in and out.
Oh, yeah,
It was
yeah.
the
So
sound
cool.
design for
So
like because
cool.
it startled me at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like when the people represent technology correctly
Oh,
because it never
absolutely.
works.
Yeah.
Shit's always breaking
Yeah, when
here.
she's like glitching by the side of the.
Oh man, that was so cool.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I just liked also it's like well, what would people naturally do in this future scape of Vegas? Oh, they'd have an Elvis hologram.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and it's not even in like in a giant theater.
No, it's in a nightclub.
it's in a crummy little.
Yeah.
He's basically
Frank Sinatra.
reduced. He's reduced to a lounge singer. This Elvis hologram.
Yeah.
And then Marilyn Monroe kind of pops in. I don't know. It's just such a cool vibe. I think a lot of these dystopian movies, like a Gattaca 2, they do an awesome mixture of 1940s, 50s.
Did you get a Gattaca vibe
style.
from this, especially when he was looking at the DNA
Some of
sequence that says
the
Gattaca?
architecture
Yeah, well,
for sure.
I know.
Definitely their choices. They've showed it a couple times, but when he goes to check in, and when he's like looking for information on that serial number, and he goes to check in, and it's like a completely sealed off hallway with no windows, and then one tiny little slat that he talks
yeah.
to the bald guy through.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, like
The baseline measurement. Yeah.
I was
Oh,
like,
actually, okay, I could say that.
well, no.
No.
When he's going to research stuff it's an orange room.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he talks to the bald guy.
Oh no,
Oh,
that
oh,
was just reminding me. My favorite scene, Elise, to answer
okay.
your
Here we
question.
go. This is it.
After he goes to Sapper's place, the Dave Bautista character, after that he goes back and he's being interviewed, and they're asking him all those things, and he's giving those responses. And then you cut to like the third act of the film, and then they're freaking out because he's becoming self-aware, or whatever, and he has to answer the questions again. It's super tense. It's all the same stuff, but it's like that was a moment where I was very much awake for a film that's very somber and very like slow, and I thought that was really well done, and kind of I don't want to say Ryan Gosling had range in this movie, but
he's good at that stuff.
but
though.
he had like, what do you call it, subtle range?
No, he's very good at that. He's very good at emoting with his features and
Yeah.
with his face, but not doing too much.
But
Not-
I know he gets a lot of shit for that, and people.
he does, but he's good at it.
But I felt like this movie played that perfectly, especially
Yeah.
since he's an android
Right.
robot replicant thing, and when he had those moments where he burst out when he finds out that the memories aren't his, or he thinks they're his, or whatever. He's this frustrated character. It had more weight, as opposed to someone who's always charismatic or funny. And it's like there's not a lot to laugh at in this movie.
No.
And those moments, like when you actually like feel something, is like, I don't know. It's very telling of a good filmmaker.
Yeah, and there's definitely a contrast between the way he is at home with his like robot girlfriend, or not robot, but like hologram girlfriend, as opposed to when he's out in the, because when he's out in the world, you can tell he's like, well, this is my life, this is
It's
bleak.
his job.
It's my job.
Yeah, that's what he does.
I definitely think like this movie and Drive speak best to that kind of emotiveless Ryan Gosling acting, because they fit the best with the world and the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was glad with it. My one criticism, actually, it might not be a criticism if you guys can help me out with this. So at the end of the film, Deckard's being taken off world.
Yeah.
He's en route, and then Kay is walking around and he sees his hologram girlfriend who's now dead. And he has a moment and goes, "I gotta save Deckard or kill Deckard," or you're not sure what he's gonna do. How does he find Deckard?
Like, because he's flying off with the woman.
They're en route over the ocean.
and he has an escort. He has the center ship.
Yeah.
And then the two escorts.
How does Cave just find them?
They show a shot of the radar that he's looking at.
He's in a
But-
police cruiser.
Okay, so he can track
my
vehicles?
impression was that he tracked their radio calls
using
Okay.
the police cruiser.
towards, because they were headed towards the airport,
Yeah.
the spaceport. Or
Like I
whatever.
said, I need to watch it again, but that was like my one concern.
That's
I was
enough.
just
Yeah.
sort of like, it just kind of showed up.
That's what I assumed, because like you always think of Blade Runner and flying cars, but having just watched Blade Runner, and I'm like, oh no, flying cars are basically helicopters.
Yeah.
Like specific organizations have access to flying cars. The rest of the people have to travel in their stupid triangle cars.
That's a good point.
And so the fact that he was in a flying car, I assumed that he acquired it through the police department,
Okay.
through a scene that you don't see, where he just whatever.
There is
takes
a
stuff.
moment. There is a moment actually where they do say like you're in restricted airspace.
Yeah.
So like they're definitely popping up on someone's radar.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I that's what I assumed.
Once again, that was the only part where like Bruce and I were leaving the.
I was kinda
film
like,
yesterday, I was sort of like, I don't know, how did that happen? Yeah,
They do a pretty good job of establishing early, for me at least, establishing early in the movie that if you want to find someone and you have access to like the network, you can find anyone.
Yeah,
It's like,
of
oh, where
course.
is he? He's there.
Yeah.
Like it's just a big map of the U.S. and it zooms in on where he is.
It's a cool balance of a future, but not a complete totalitarian one where. Like I always assume the future is going to be someone hits a button and your car stops, and then you stop, and then someone just finds you. So like your freedoms they're just pretty much gone to do anything. But then they have these sorts of movies where it does feel a bit older, like in like the 80s, where if you wanted to hide, you could hide, but there's still ways of like I don't know.
I
There's
love
ways
this
around
shit. There's so many payphones in this movie.
Oh yeah.
There's like at the first time he goes to the police station, there's a bunch of people on payphones with cords coming out of a thing, and I'm like, what? He's got a hollow AI at home, but there's payphones.
More of like a class system. I feel like that's what separates people. Like you said, money.
Definitely. Yeah, class system. I think probably it is really easy to find people if the government wants to, but the government probably doesn't have much interest in the actual
because there's trillions of people.
But the government probably doesn't have much interest in the actual welfare of their people. They're not creating infrastructure for welfare because they're more interested in these off-world colonies, etc., that probably have great flourishing welfare states as opposed to the Earth, which is people are just living in slums and there's this city that existed. I don't know if it still exists, but I think it was in China, and it was this basically
where they filmed the Jean-Claude movie. I know which one you're talking
Double
about.
Impact.
It was like
yeah.
I always forget what it's called.
Yeah, the walled city.
The walled city, and it's like there's basically no law within this city because it's like this. You can see the aerial shots are amazing. The Kowloon walled city, the aerial shots are amazing, and it was just like I think it's all gone now.
There's a short documentary on this place. It's crazy.
But this is what I think of when I think of Blade Runner. Is just the verticality and just like the people piled on top of one another in any space they can be in.
Yeah,
and there isn't necessarily law and order within it because these people are maggots. What does the government really care about? But if the government needed to go in and bust shit up and find somebody, like they would do that, and they could.
It was a weird British settlement or something. It was like some weird.
It was a fortress. It was an actual fortress.
Yeah.
And then
the cool thing about Blade Runner, I thought, is that you don't see government anywhere.
No,
except for the police.
The LAPD.
There's the cops, but it's almost like you're saying, government moved on. To where humanity is pushing things forward, and they just left a small framework for Earth, which is
Sony is government now. Sony rule over you.
Dredd was a good comparison. That was a really good. Adam, you made the comparison.
The Raid too.
So many things have come from Blade Runner. We have so much sci-fi because of the original vision of Blade Runner, and a lot of that came from Philip K. Dick and then Neil Stephenson afterwards. Like it was all very much inspired. It's all different things inspiring themselves. Because even Blade Runner itself, the first movie, isn't necessarily a one-to-one vision of what Philip K. Dick had. But
not at all.
It was a perfect marriage of Ridley Scott's commercial eye with really interesting writing and sci-fi.
Like I got it. I'm close enough.
Like I don't think anyone's ever done Philip K. Dick the way Philip K. Dick did Philip K. Dick, if that makes sense. Have you ever read Ubik or Do Androids Dream Electric Sheep or
Repent Harlequin?
Yeah,
Philip K. Dick? No.
Well, he does.
iRobot.
I never read iRobot. Minority Report's like a short story they did, but like in Ubik.
Look at all the oil burning.
Yeah. Well, this is the anime that
now I can go and watch all this stuff.
Yeah, this one's really good actually.
That's Harlan Ellison.
The anime one that
Repent
the Cowboy Bebop guy did was good. Sorry, Elise, what?
No, I was just correcting myself so that the comments don't. Repent Harlequin said the TikTok man is Harlan Ellison.
Real quick before, because I want to use the collective power of our audience.
Sure.
Has Bruce Timm ever come out and said that Harley his idea for Harley Quinn is based on Pris from Blade Runner?
Oh.
Because I was watching it, I was like, oh, come on. She's identical. They're fucking identical.
Huh. Never thought about that.
Like, in their relationship between her and Roy is like the same as her and the Joker.
Yeah. Never thought about that.
All she does, the only thing she doesn't do is say Mr. J. That's the only thing.
Apparently, Harley Quinn was created by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini based on Dini's friend Arlene Sorkin.
Who loved
maybe visually, but I wonder if he's ever come out and be like, I get that.
You could ask him.
All right, I'll call him.
Yeah, just hey, buddy. I lost my train of thought. Damn it. Anyway, I was sorry. I was talking about Ubik. It's another Philip K. Dick novel. It's probably one of his more approachable ones, but it's like it's a future, but it's a really shitty future where you can't leave your house unless you give your door a quarter. It's stuff like that, and there were actually a lot of shades of that. I felt when we were leaving the theater yesterday. Both Jess and I looked at each other like, "Oh my god, there's so much that like it felt like a Philip K. Dick novel. So not only did I feel like 2049 was made by people who really liked the original Blade Runner, they actually liked the source material, and they borrowed different elements from other Philip K. Dick novels. I was like, okay, that's really cool for people who are into like this sort of shit. So I don't know. I feel like you can't, like you were saying, James, you can't get more sci-fi than this, right?
It's got more sci-fi than I can think of anything.
It's hard sci-fi.
Yeah,
That's what it's called.
Yeah.
What was the movie that you were saying? It was like all sci-fi. I remember you were saying like some movie a long time ago. You're like, it's every sci-fi ever made.
Oh.
That's what I kind of feel like this is.
Not Jupiter Ascending, I don't think.
No
Yeah.
one's ever said that.
Well, Jupiter Ascending has a lot of sci-fi, but it's too much.
Wait, did you say it in a positive or a negative light? Like, did you say it positively?
I
they
know what I'm
managed
talking
to
about. There's
include all these
something
tropes, or they just crammed it
Battlefield
all in? It has to be Battlefield Earth.
The Tom Cruise movie. Tom Cruise and
Oblivion?
Olga Kurylenko.
Oh, Oblivion.
Oh, Oblivion. Yeah.
That Oblivion is crammed full
yeah.
of a ton of stuff,
Yes.
like cloning
Cliches,
and like
yeah.
everything.
Aliens.
I don't think
also.
it's done as artfully.
No, not as Blade Runner. No, no.
2049, but
Yeah. So I guess I would say if you should have seen the film by now. If you haven't, I'm sorry. We totally spoiled it, but I do feel like you should see it in theaters and go in with a open mind that you're not going to go see a blockbuster.
It's long. Settle in.
Yeah.
Settle in.
It's one of the, but I want to go see it again.
No, absolutely.
No.
I'm not saying I thought it was too long, but again, a lot of people will not think that, and I think it's kind of one of those things that you just have to go in knowing it's 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Did you
solid?
James and Lise, you guys you watched the original Blade Runner on Wednesday, and then you went and saw 2049 the next night.
We went to see it like just playing in theaters. Or
Yeah.
They did it for like 1 hour. I think it was like specifically at 7:00 at multiple theaters around LA. So I couldn't make it, which totally sucked.
Yeah.
Did you guys feel like it enhanced your experience?
I liked it. It got me hyped for it.
Yeah.
Right.
But I was glad because I still think when you step away from Blade Runner, you think of it as more than it is. You remember the world, you remember the characters, you remember the monologues, but you don't necessarily remember the points in between where he just randomly shows up and then kills a snake woman, or where like other stuff is just kind of happening, or the fact that they, like Elise was saying, repeat a lot of shots. You know, at the time, it's great. You built this amazing model world of Los Angeles and you want to show it off. Now it's like, all right, like, okay, we've seen that shot before. But then following up with 2049, where it has that same execution, but everything's new, was like a cool thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it must be like how people felt when they saw the original Blade Runner in theaters.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it was
absolutely.
brand new to them. They're like,
Yeah.
holy shit, this is crazy. This is a weird world.
Again, Ocarina of Time
Right.
and Breath of the Wild.
Actually, would love to like talk to somebody that did see
Yeah.
it in theaters and what the kind of reaction was, because I know it wasn't a success at the time, and it kind of
It gained a cult following.
Yeah, later in its life it gained, but I know at the time it was sort of competing against more of an optimistic, like Spielbergian
Star Wars.
trend in movies and Star Wars.
My parents used to talk about Star Wars when we saw it in theaters that like blew them away. Like they'd never seen anything like it.
It was at a time too where you would actually compare a movie like Blade Runner and Star Wars, like, yeah, they're both sci-fi.
Right.
And enough time has gone by, you're like, well, Star Wars is more
subgenres.
fantasy
they're
and
different niches.
like it's harder to look at that sort of stuff when it's happening. And now we have enough time we can look back and go, oh no, different genres, mom and dad. They don't care. Whatever. They just want to watch Big Bang Theory. Let them have it.
This is our Big Bang Theory.
But anyway, yeah. So it's great.
It's good. Go see it.
It's really good.
It's a good movie.
I want to go see it again.
Yeah.
I
I'm
give
going
it
to.
3 out of 3 sexual people having sex all together.
A hologram,
Yeah.
real person threesome.
Yeah.
I give it a 10 out of 10 of my memories implanted into Adam.
Ooh.
I give it 5 brooding goslings out of 5 brooding
5?
goslings.
Wow.
Ew.
5 out of 5.
I was gonna give it 4 really, really old Harrison Fords out of 5.
Maybe throw in Eddie Jimmy Almost in there.
There was a point where he was running down a hallway, and I was like, "Man, he's old." And then I went, "Wait, no, he's always run that way."
Yeah,
Like you watch Indiana Jones, and he's
You see that arm vein?
Yeah,
I was
he had
like,
one big vein.
I was like, he's
Yeah.
doing steroids.
I'm
Good
so
for him.
glad. So glad Edward James Almost showed up.
Yeah, me too.
So glad.
Well, Edward James Olmos also has always been like I said, he was a big proponent of like the world building. It's so weird if you go back and watch Dangerous Days, the making of, you see Rutger Hauer and Edward James Olmos just being like more excited about the world of Blade Runner than Ridley Scott was. Ridley Scott was always in building this thing, and both these actors were like, oh my God, you're doing it. A true melting pot of society, a real future. It's something to say. He's like, yeah, so I need you to jump from that building to the other one.
It's a very matter of fact.
Yeah.
Director.
Well, like
Nipples.
Kind of. It's like a weird skin suit.
Yeah,
I'm
we
showing
had this discussion
for audio
She's
listeners.
Covered in nipples.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
And for audio
there they
listeners,
are.
we're looking at Ghost in the Shell trailers because I was very much influenced by
Blade
Runner,
Runner, yeah.
very much so. But and then also Edward James almost went on to go do Battlestar Galactica, which is very much it exists because of Blade Runner, about like what is humanity and all that fun stuff.
Right,
So
the replicants and the Cylons.
all those things.
Yeah.
Anyway, go see it, please.
I did.
It's real good.
And thank you for listening, guys. Thank you for watching, all you wonderful people out there. Thank you, Vincero, for sponsoring this podcast. And if you enjoyed this, please tell a friend or family member or someone that you may not like, because you might be best friends after this. Probably not.
If you don't like them, then you're referring the podcast to somebody you don't like.
I'm just trying to create like an icebreaker, an olive branch, if you will, Bruce.
This is the last movie we were excited for too. So for the rest of October, it's going to be scary.
Yeah, we're moving back to. Oh yeah, so Bruce and I are going to be out of town next week. James will be taking over as moderator. All that fun stuff.
And November's Thor Ragnarok, though.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're doing
Hell yeah.
every week a new Thor.
I can't wait.
Thorvember.
Thorvember.
Spooky movies and the what is it? The Airku.
The
Airbud?
ABCU.
I saw a fan theory in the Reddit fan theory subreddit, I frequent daily, that Airbud is inhabited by the dead ghost of the kid's dad because the dad loved basketball too.
I gotta go.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about more Airbud. Actually, I
Yeah.
won't be here for it, so sucks for me. Anyway, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
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 When it's over elaborate, it's not boring. Like, it's not like a Transformers movie where you're like, please fight Transformers. Like, it's as though a Transformers movie where they were fighting the whole time. What were you gonna say, Elise?
Do I do my 3 things now?
Well, we just did
We
two
already
things.
ignored his concept.
We,
Yeah, that's
All right.
fine.
We did 2 things that we weren't crazy about. So
I'm just
why
trying
don't
to
you
keep it
I'll do
truncated.
Tell us a good one.
my 3 things.